Hi, fourth graders. Today is lesson 8 of our number corner, and our learning intention is I can convert decimeters to centimeters and meters. And then you will also be completing a page where you add, subtract, and multiply some larger numbers. So the first thing that I want us to talk about is our April calendar collector. Your last assignment on Friday, you were supposed to fill that up all the way to April, or for 15 decimeters. Today, I want you to add the last 5 decimeters to the chart and then turn it in. At the bottom of the chart, you'll notice that I also have a spot for 100 and 150. And so, if you would like a challenge, I'd like you to go ahead and try those. So that would be 100 decimeters and 150 decimeters. So I want you to tell me how many centimeters that is and how many meters. Once you have completed the chart, the last 5 decimeters are added, then you are going to turn this in. Remember that this chart can be found on Google Classroom. So that's your first activity today. Your second activity is page 80 in your number corner book. And the first thing that you are going to do is you are going to complete the table for number 1. So you're just writing the decimeters and the centimeters in. That shouldn't take you long. You can use your chart for that. The second thing you are going to do is write down 3 observations about the table of values for decimeters and centimeters. So what do you realize or observe about decimeters and centimeters? And finally, you are going to do the number 3. And number 3 says, my pet frog took 13 big jumps. Each jump measured 15 decimeters. How many decimeters did he jump in all? Please use equations to show your thinking. All right, so if we're thinking about this, we have 2 different numbers. We have this 13 big jumps, and then we have 15 decimeters. And so in this, or when you are solving this, I would like you to use an area model. And since I said use an area model, that should give you a very big hint about what you are doing with those numbers. And then you are going to write your answer in A. So when we look at your paper, we should see an equation, we should see an area model, and then we should see an answer. That's 3 different things. And then down here, if you're up for a challenge, it says how many meters did he jump in all? And if you're up for it, I would love to have you answer that question. Remember that there are 10 decimeters in a meter. That should help you answer part B. And we're going to go back to that really quickly. When you're done with that, you're going to take a clear picture, especially of number 3, and put it on Seesaw. We want to be able to see 3 so that we can see your equation, your area model, and your answer. We're going to be checking for those 3 things. All right. So this is page 95 in your number corner book. All right. We're going to skip ahead just a little bit. And so on this one, you are going to be solving some problems, and I'm going to walk you through each of those problems so that you have an idea about how to solve them. You will solve them in your number corner book, and then you will put your answers in a Google form so that we can see how you did on these. So number 1 says, a small tree frog jumped 170 millimeters. A bullfrog jumped 129 millimeters. How much farther did the tree frog jump? Now, when you are solving a problem like this, I want you to use a number line, all right? So we have the tree frog that jumped 170 millimeters, and then we have the bullfrog that jumped 129 millimeters. I want you to figure out the difference between those two numbers by using a number line, similar to the one I just drew for you here. All right, number 2 says Asia has 13 kilograms of apples. Sophia has 6 times as many kilograms of apples as Asia. How many kilograms of apples does Sophia have? All right, for this one, I want to see an area model. And we are figuring out how many kilograms of apples Sophia has. So it says Asia has 13 and Sophia has 6 times as many. That means we are multiplying to figure this out. Don't forget the unit in your answers. So your answer is going to be a certain amount of kilograms. All right, next problem, number 3 says Juan has 9 liters of lemonade to share with his 5 friends. If the 6 kids share the lemonade evenly, how many milliliters of lemonade will each of them get? Okay, so this is a little bit tricky. We have to remember that there are 1,000 milliliters in a liter. And so I'm going to write a note right there. And he has 9 liters. So my first step when I'm thinking about this is to figure out how many milliliters he has. 9 liters equals, and this is liters, equals how many milliliters. All right, and then we know that we have 6 kids. So we have this certain amount of milliliters that we are going to divide among 6 kids. All right, and I want you to figure that out any way that you can with division. All right, so if you need to draw out an area model, you could do that. If you need to do a ratio table, you could do that. If you just want to share out milliliters, you could do that. Remember that your first step here, though, is figuring out how many milliliters it is, how many milliliters 9 liters is, and then you're going to go on to divide those milliliters. So those milliliters you divide by the 6 kids, and then you figure out how many milliliters each kid gets. All right. So number 4 is the last one. Chris, Darren, and Evan brought water to share with their teammates at the soccer game. Chris brought 13 liters of water. Darren brought 950 milliliters of water. Evan brought 1,500 milliliters of water. How many milliliters did they bring in all? Okay, again, we have to go back to 1,000 milliliters in a liter. And your first thing is going to figure out how many milliliters 13 liters is. So how many milliliters is 13 liters? So that's your first step. Then you're going to add them all up. So you're going to add that the milliliters that Chris brought, the milliliters that Evan brought, and the milliliters that Darren brought. And then you will get your answer. Finally, 4th graders, the 5th problem on the page says Naya has a 1 liter container of juice. She drank 356 milliliters and then she drank 278 milliliters. How many milliliters of juice does Naya have left? So if she has a 1 liter container, you need to think about how many milliliters that is total. There's a big, huge hint at the top of the screen. Remember, 1,000 milliliters equals a liter. And you are going to subtract from that the amount of milliliters that she drank. So you'll want to start with a number line. And you can either start by adding the 2 numbers up, the 356 and the 278, or you can start with the 1,000 milliliters and subtract. So I'm just going to show you what that might look like. So you would start on your number line at 1,000, and then you are going to go backwards. First, you would take off 356, and then 278. So after you have solved these in your number corner book, you are going to go to the Google form shared with you in the doc, and you are going to record your answers and submit that Google form to your teacher. So fourth graders, your jobs today are to complete the calendar collector chart in Google Classroom, and you are going to turn it in, and then you are going to complete page 80 in your number corner book, and finally you are going to complete page 95 in your number corner book and complete the Google form that is linked in the doc. So you have 3 things, 2 of which we will be looking at: the calendar collector chart, page 80, and page 95. Make today a great math day.